Hi, this is 365801 and this is my sort of roundup for the Reading Rush readathon that was held in July 2020 from the 20th to the 26th. Yes, this is all of the books that I was able to read during that period of time. So I actually managed to get through quite a few volumes of manga, and some of them were reads, some of them were rereads, and I made a TBR about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something. It feels like anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to go through some of the things that I read and also some opinions, which I think if anyone has been following the Reading Rush, you will also have opinions. So yeah, let's just get on into it. Yeah, so I was, as I said, I was thinking maybe I would get round to doing some vlogs, and as usual that did not happen. I also said that I was looking forward to really participating in getting into it if I could, and yeah, as usual that didn't happen. So yeah, I'm going to be going through what I did read. This is all of the books that I did read, so I made a TBR. I didn't read everything on my TBR, but I'm happy that I was able to read what I did. I'd like to go through some of the books that I read and what I thought of them. Yeah, I didn't participate as well as I was planning to, but then as usual, I never do what I plan. I think, if I'm honest, this was after so many months of being stuck at home. This was the first time that I was actually being sociable. Where I am, and I know it's different where everyone is, but where I am, we are now able to meet up in smaller groups. We're able to spend time with family and friends if we can, if we're socially distancing, and for the first time in several months I was able to see some of my family members. I live alone, and so it has been a little bit difficult for those reasons. I know it's difficult for other people for different reasons, but that's one of the reasons it's been difficult, is that I'm living alone and I haven't seen my family for quite a long time now. So I was finally able to see some of my family. So out of all of the months that I've been sitting at home and probably would have been able to do loads and loads of reading, this was the most sociable I've been in a long time during this reading rush. So I wasn't actually at home. I was able to finally travel to a family member's house and spend time with them. So I was able to see lots of family members. I did attempt to make a vlog, and I filmed some shots for that, and I was filming lots of pretty flowers in a garden that's not mine, in a house that's not mine, and we did have a couple of rainy days, so I was able to film for the rainy days, and I'm not using any of that footage. You'll see it, I'll put it up. So yeah, I was able to try and attempt the vlogs, but as usual, I didn't do it. But I have a good excuse. I was finally able to spend some time with my family, and you know what? That's so much more important than participating on Twitter sprints and other such things to do with this reading rush. So I have tried and decided, well, it wasn't worth it. Not right now. So yeah, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy reading the books that I chose, and I'd like to go through them with you. And then at the end of the video, I think I have a few opinions on some things to do with the reading rush, and I'm sure lots of people do. So I'll just get into that at the end of the video, and I'll go through what I read first. So I'm actually going to go back the way, and I'm not going to do this in any real order, but I'm going to start at the end, which was The Cornered Mouse Dreams of Cheese, which is a reread, and I was planning on reading The Cornered Mouse Dreams of Cheese, and then of course the sequel, The Carp on the Chopping Block Jumps Twice. And the reread was The Cornered Mouse, and then the new read was going to be The Carp. So I started reading The Carp, but that was on the end. I think it was on like the 26th, so I'm still reading that one. It was just lovely to reread The Cornered Mouse Dreams of Cheese, to be honest. I really love it. I'm gonna do a separate video just for this series, so I'm not gonna go through it too much, but Setonomi Zushiro's work, it means so much to me and to lots of old Bachan Fujoshis, apparently. I do think it is of its time, and it means something to me as part of a certain generation of BL fans, so I'm really pleased to have it. I will do a separate video for this one, but God, I love it. I love it so much. It was just such a pleasure to reread this, and even just to know that I have it in my possession in English. So yeah, this was a lovely one. I love it. I'll do a separate video just for this, I think. Now, on one of the days it was quite rainy, and I actually was able to just sit down and read all 4 volumes of Candy Color Paradox. It is a really great series. I love this series. I love the fact that I was able to read all 4 volumes, just sit down and get into it. And I think I'll probably do a separate video for this as well. I'd like to do ones for certain long-running series, so I'd like to do separate review videos. So if I can, as usual, procrastinate, but here we go. I'm gonna try. Just one of the things that I was very off Twitter and off social media for most of the week, enjoying my family time, enjoying being socially distanced and social. The only time that I really had any kind of interactions was from reading Candy Color Paradox, because it was a rainy day, so I was spending some time inside, and it was about translation choices. So I think I should really probably put this up here, because it might end up being a controversial video, but this was kind of controversial when reading Candy Color Paradox. I don't think the work itself is controversial, but some of the translation choices. This is a little bit difficult. One of the choices that was made in the first volume was the inclusion of a Yiddish word, which I don't speak, so I was a bit confused about. But I honestly don't know that if the first time I read this volume, I maybe thought it was a typo, or just read it and kept on going, because I could understand what it meant from the context. But while I read it this time, the reread of volume 1, it kind of was like, huh, why did they make that choice? And also, what does this word mean? Off topic, I have been watching different things, so the reason I think I didn't do as much reading last year is because I got completely obsessed with The Untamed. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's so good. I love it so much. I'm still obsessed a year later. And the English translation of The Untamed included a lot of words that I had never come across. And so I would pause it and I'd look it up and find out that it was a really interesting, almost archaic English word, but I was really happy to learn it. So when I came across this word and found out it wasn't a typo, it was actually a word, it just happened to be Yiddish, I was really excited because it was kind of interesting. But I also thought that's interesting as a choice for translation. Adriana Beck, I think, does the translation for this series, and she does loads of BL, so I've read so much of her work, so she's a good translator. But the choice of this word for a Japanese man to say in this context, I find it a little bit odd, personally. I do think it's important that I point out that I don't know Yiddish, and I wanted to know if there was other people who this would feel normal to. So yeah, there was a lot of people who engaged with me in conversation about this, which I'm really grateful for. It was really interesting to hear their opinions about the use of this word and how it was normal for them and they didn't even bat an eyelid. And for other people it was like, well, I didn't know this word but I knew it was Yiddish. So that kind of passive knowledge of culture. So that was really interesting. But as someone who's not in America and doesn't hear a lot of Yiddish, it was something that kind of took me out of the story a little. But that's just a translator's choice. And I do mention these in my videos because there is a slight discrepancy between global English and English that's for an American audience. And so that was a choice made. The second point though is one that I really need to bring up, and that's from volume 2. So in volume 2 I came across a word that appears twice at least. It might even appear once in volume 1. I did read the first 2 volumes and feel like, oh, that was a choice made. The first time I came across this word, I will not say this word, I do not agree with this word, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. It's very ableist, so I really don't like it. Even when I was a child, I knew that this word was not something that would be said in polite society in the UK. So it just made me feel very uncomfortable, and to see it more than once, it made me feel very, very uncomfortable. And this is because, and I want to thank Rachel Thorne, who has been really highlighting the idea of using ableist language. I know that I probably have used that in the past, and I've definitely thought things, you know, especially when it comes to a certain president that we won't mention. And Rachel Thorne has been saying, you know, avoid using this ableist language to discredit him. He can be discredited in other ways. You don't need to use this language. And that was not used, but it's a specific word that in the UK means apparently something much stronger, although Rachel said that she also would not have wanted to use this word. It's a translation choice that perhaps is less offensive in America. It's very offensive in the UK, so it was quite upsetting because I want to read, you know, something that makes me feel good and I love the story, and I know that in the Japanese it might be different, so I'd like to kind of see. I don't know if I have Candy Color Paradox in Japanese. It's all wrapped up in boxes anyway, so I wouldn't be able to check. But yeah, that was another translation choice. But in terms of reviewing this as a series and the work by Isaku Natsume, I love it. I love Isaku Natsume, and I really enjoyed reading volumes 3 and 4. No translation issues at all whatsoever. But I do think that maybe Viz or Sublime should perhaps tailor some of their language. If you want to include Yiddish, hey, that's cool because your marketplace is mostly America. But when it comes to certain phrases and words that are really, really discriminatory and ableist, it's almost, for me, I just can't justify using that word when there are other words you could use that move the story along, maybe more colourful and interesting, but don't mean something so offensive to a huge, huge group of English language users, so that was a little bit bad. But overall, I would like to do a review video on Candy Colour Paradox. I know that there's a volume 5 that's going to come out, and I'm really looking forward to reading that one. So it's not put me off reading this. It's not Itaku Natsume's work. It's that very small translation choice. So yeah, it was a great series, and I did enjoy 3 and 4. So once again, I just want to say thanks to all the people who engaged in conversation with me on Twitter. That brief little moment when I was actually on and letting me know about their views on those translation choices. One of the people who did talk about whether or not they knew the word or had any kind of views on ableist language was MommaLuvsManga, who I love, and I finally read Liquor and Cigarettes, which I'm sure she'll be really pleased about because she loves this one too. Yeah, I really love this. This is Liquor and Cigarettes. It's by Sublime. It's Ranmaru Zaria, and it's about these. I don't want to spoil it, but hey, they're on the front cover. These 2 lovely boys who have kind of grown up together, living across from each other in some sort of, I'm assuming, European town. It kind of gives that sort of European vibe in terms of the architecture. Once again, Ranmaru Zaria seems to like the European setting, and these 2 lovely boys are very cute and sexy together. And it's just basically one of them, I don't know who's kind of tricking who. I think they're just, in a way, it's like how to give each other the excuse of being together when really it's like we are in love, you know. It's going to get there in the end, isn't it? It's not going to end with a they don't get together. This is BL. They get together, so I'm not spoiling it for you. Yeah, it's just how they get there. And it's just sweet and lovely and very sexy. And I really love Ranmaru Zaria's artwork. It's just wonderful. And her pacing is nice too. So it just feels like, I didn't feel like I rushed through it. I feel like I really enjoyed reading it. But it felt like it was quick. Like, oh, there goes the whole hour. Wow. And it's done. And I could probably just sit down and reread it because it was so enjoyable. So yeah, Liquor and Cigarettes is a really nice, lovely little one-shot, and I just now need to get Void, which is the digital title that Sublime has. It's a one-shot too of Ranmaru Zaria's, and I haven't read that one yet, so I'm going to see if I can get that. Hey, you know, this, I don't know when this is going to come out. It depends on when I'm doing the editing, but if it comes out before August, 801 day, I am 365 801, so 801 day is like my national holiday or international holiday, or just basically my festival day. Woo! So sometimes Sublime do little sales, and maybe they take $1 off, so if they do, maybe I'll get a wee Void copy, because that's the one that I really was thinking, oh, that's the next one I want to get digitally, so I'll maybe get one if they've got a nice sale on. Which reminds me, there is a couple of other places like Kindle do have some sales on Sublime at the moment as well. I think you can get Given for $3.99 on sale, which is a bit cheaper than usual. So I think they have some of their Sublime titles for only £3.99. I might get them. I might get 1 or 2. I'll have to see. Having difficulty getting some titles in the UK just now because for obvious reasons. So yeah, anyway, Liquor and Cigarettes. MommaLuvsManga, I finally read it. And you're right, it's beautiful, it's lovely, and it's very hot and sexy, so I can see why you like it so much. It's a good recommendation. Now this next one I read because I needed to get one that was like a not your normal kind. I think that was what the prompt was. And this is one that's not a Japanese original manga. This is one that was originally in German. Anna B. and Sophie Schonhammer. And this is volume 1 of Star Collector, and this is also a sort of recommendation. Bizarre Individual has said that they really like this Star Collector series. This is volume 1, there's a volume 2, and is that it complete? I don't know, is there more? If you know, please let me know, because I know there's a volume 2, which, spoiler alert in terms of how much I enjoyed this, I need to buy, and I need to buy now. I loved this. This was so lovely. I saw this, I've seen them, I've gone meh. You know, it's like that emoji type thing where you know, slap face at the Chinese BL community are always talking about, you know, when you slap yourself in the face because you said something wrong and now you have to you know, you have to take it back. I take it back. This is wonderful. I did think it was going to be good though, because Bizarre Individual had said it was good, and I trust their judgment wholeheartedly. So Star Collector was just lovely. I need volume 2. Tokyopop have a couple of different titles that are non-Japanese original manga that I have avoided because they're Tokyopop. Enough said, maybe? I don't know. That sounds really bad. But that kind of takes away from the creators of this. You know, I've now started looking into other graphic novels and comics that have BL as a focus. I've, you know, recently read Heartstopper, which I wanted to read for ages, and then I finally got the digital copies, and they're wonderful. They're so fantastic. And this had that same energy, it had that same spirit, it had that same quiet loveliness to it that just is so healing. That's what this was, it was healing. So if you haven't read Star Collector, I definitely recommend at least volume 1. I don't know what happens in volume 2 and I'm excited to find out. And I love the idea that Anna and Sophie worked together and made this. Tokyopop, the German, or I should say the European printer that printed the German language volumes, they were so successful. They were run by someone who wasn't Stu Livy, and they continued all the way until recently under whoever it is. I can't remember his name, I feel really bad about it, so I'm gonna have to look it up. The man who ran Tokyopop in Germany did a great job of reaching out to local creators and, you know, printing their work in the way that I think Stu Livy wanted it to be like in America, but for reasons did not. And in this small little captive market of German language manga, where in France, in Germany, in Italy and Spain as well, they have a vibrant comic readership, and they were able to there's loads of academic writing on it. I do recommend you all go and read you know, this particular work, but some academic papers on the German manga publishing industry. It's really interesting. It seems dry, but it's not. It's actually interesting. So yeah, Star Collector is kind of like the representation of that, now translated into English. And Bizarre Individual was right. It's just lovely. I need to get this second volume. If you've read this as well, did you like it? They're just such sweet boys, and it's all about stars. And honestly, is it Finn? The two boys. So I just checked. I'm right. It was Finn. Finn and Nico were the two boys. Nico's the one with the glasses. Finn reminds me a little bit of Akiyama-kun. If you've seen Akiyama-kun, oh my god, it's just, I love Akiyama-kun as well. So it has that sense of, this is almost like a very similar character, someone with long hair, who's very sexy, who's, you know, a little bit wild, who doesn't always go to school, and is sort of, that energy, that spirit is quite captivating, and yet is captivated by someone who may seem a little bit geeky or nerdy, or, you know, a bit more down to earth, but that they have a great attraction to one another. This is such a sweet one. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I need to read volume 2. But yeah, it's a great recommendation. I really enjoyed it. So one of the other titles that I read was Furi Misasagi's Idle Pleasures, which is published by Dieu, and it's about, if I can remember, it sounds bad already, Amagi and Koju, I think. Koju, yeah. So Koju is an idol, and Amagi is roped in by his business-minded sister to be his manager, and so it's a manager-idol relationship. Now I read Furi Misasagi's title for a particular reason. If you haven't heard about Furi Misasagi and would like to know more, please check out my July manga haul video. It will be very interesting. A wink, a wink. Plug. Go watch that. I don't know if it's going to be released before or after this video, so maybe it's a plug for a future video, maybe it's like a hey, go and watch that. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, this is old-fashioned. The jokes and some of the things at the start were the artwork especially was old-fashioned throwaway type BL. It had that sort of feel to it, almost like I wanna say like Gravitation era, sort of Love Mode era, that kind of thing. The artwork is not my favourite. I felt it was very meh. But the story was kind of sweet and engaging. It was just about the two of them. There was a lot going on though that wasn't actually addressed. It was so superficial. Like there was like massive issues and themes that probably Misasagi had like thought about these characters, knew a lot about these characters, and kind of just threw things out there that you're like, what? Eh? For example, Amagi was a detective, and you didn't find this out until like the last chapter, or like part of the last chapter, and it was kind of like, well, where did that come out? What? That's dead weird. Yeah, so this is one of those old-fashioned ones that you kind of need to feel like you're unpicking. There's a lot going on, but yeah, ultimately all it is do they get to bone at the end? So yeah, old-fashioned. I wouldn't exactly give this many stars if I was a star-giving type reviewer. I'm more than just a hey, this was interesting. So hey, if you're into those throwaway titles and you like to have a bit of a laugh at the fact that this was actually published, then yeah, give Idle Pleasures a bit of a read. It's not one that I would recommend to modern tastes, modern sensibilities. Not really, meh. Yeah, but I'm really glad I have it. It's nice to have a Furi Misasagi title. Wink, wink. Go see my manga haul for July. Wink, wink. But yeah, so I'm glad that I finally got round to reading this. So I think actually one of the first titles I read in the week, I don't actually remember the order I read everything in. It was Hitorijime My Hero. I saw on Twitter people making the jokes, and I did think My Hero, Hitorijime would be my my kind of entry into the jokes. I didn't actually bother, as usual. Like, I'm a lurker, guys. I kind of lurk. I'm even lurking on YouTube. I'm like, I'm not really here. Shh, don't talk to me. But yeah, anyway, Hitorijime My Hero. Volume 5 was a reread, because I just recently read it. And volume 6 carried on from there. It got quite, ooh, I gotta say, I'm really disappointed I haven't been collecting this right from the beginning, because it's only been publishing for the last like 2 years, maybe? Maybe less than that, like last year I think it only started, 2019 maybe volume 1 was published, so yeah, it's only been like a year and a half, and they're on to volume 7 published already, so I'm behind in terms of actually collecting, so I really want to read volume 1 right through, because there's bits in it that they make allusions to that I'm like, I don't know, because that wasn't in the anime, so I haven't read volumes 2 to 4. So those 3 volumes must have a lot going on in them. Anyway, volume 6 was really interesting. It just carried on from volume 5, and there was a bit of, you know, tension and hijinks and the nonsense of the characters. The artwork is just so fun, and their wee chibi selves, and the characters, a bit more development for Kensuke. Setagawa seems a bit more, well, he kind of went through another wee personal crisis again, and then kind of seemed to be fine with the rest of the book. It just is a nice way to kind of pass the time, and at the end of it you're like, that was great, I enjoyed that. So yeah, I'm enjoying Hitorijime My Hero. I'm glad that I got volume 6. I will just pick them up though when I can afford them and they're quite cheap, because like I said before in many of my videos, I am trying not to buy too much stuff, and I'm failing on that, so I at least need to buy them when they're cheap if I'm buying them. Which I'm not going to. I'm going to do a whole no buy month. I've already started. It's been a while since I purchased something. I'm hoping to go a full 4 weeks. Wish me luck. So yeah, Hitorijime My Hero. It was a good wee buy. I got it for a good price. So for the reading rush, this is everything that I read. As I said before, I started reading The Carp on the Chopping Block Jumps Twice, but I'm still reading it, so I won't include that in my wrap up, and I will do a video just on this series. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 volumes, woohoo! And that puts a little bit of a dent into my TBR, which is of course huge and laughable at this point. I'm glad I read Hitorijime My Hero. It's a nice series that I'm enjoying. Idle Pleasures was, if I'm honest, meh. But I'm glad I read it, because it's been read. Star Collector was an absolute delight. And I'm so pleased that I enjoyed it. And so it does mean that I will have to buy the next volume. Liquor and Cigarettes, very sexy times, very enjoyable. I'm not much of a drinker and I don't smoke, so I was like, is this going to affect it? Nope, it does not. So don't worry, if you're not a drinker and you're not a smoker, you can still enjoy the sexy times. Very good recommendations for both of those titles. Candy Color Paradox. I love Isaku Natsume. I do enjoy these two. They're the kind of grown-up couple. There's less nonsense, I think, for these two as compared to some of her other work. Obviously, as I mentioned, those translation things that made me feel uncomfortable. But I will do a proper review on Candy Color Paradox when I go into more in-depth details. The Cornered Mouse Dreams of Cheese was a reread, so I ended up just rereading that one. But it does mean that I'm reading the other one, and I feel like I'm connected. It needs to be read together, I think. And I'll do a video on those. So, this was everything that I read for the reading rush. This was my first proper reading rush because I was not on the website before then, and as I mentioned in the TBR, I finally registered. So now I think I should talk about the actual reading rush. Did I go onto the website and actually do anything on the website? No. So was that a waste of time? Yes. Did I do any of the badges stuff? No. I actually read the books, but I didn't go onto the website. I don't think I really participated in a sprint. I think once or twice I went on and thought, oh, are they sprinting? And then I forgot that they had a separate account, so I didn't check, and then I think I did. And I don't think I was actually properly sprinting my read. I didn't check how many pages, and I didn't actually engage in anything. So when I started filming this, I was going to be filming this, so this is like a day or something after, maybe it's 2 days after the end of it. I was going to do, or at least try and attempt to do the vlogs, but then didn't actually happen either, so I haven't made the videos. I don't feel like I've actually properly participated in the readathon in the way that it was being designed. But did I read more than I usually do? Yeah, a little bit, because it was more like, hey, you're supposed to be doing this. But I was also not online as much. I was kind of having a less digital, less social media week, because I was spending time with my family, which was ultimately much more important to me for my mental health, my physical health, and for my well-being in general. So I had a great reading rush week, personally, because I had a great time, and I didn't actually do any of the reading rush stuff. So now I'm going to address something that I didn't really know anything about until Shaegeeksout, who I follow and who's lovely, posted something that she posted a video in her last vlog, and so I watched that. So I actually finally went on to their Twitter and their website and all that kind of stuff, and then watched a lot of other videos from a lot of other content creators and booktubeathon people, and in general many videos about why they will probably not be doing reading rush again. And Shaegeeksout gave a really good account of her opinions, and then I went off and did more sort of research, and I concur wholeheartedly. So was this my first and last reading rush? Yes, probably. So, you know, little things may seem little to some people, but they're big things to other people. Some people use some really, there's so much more eloquent people out there expressing their opinion on it, and because I haven't really been involved in any way, it seems like I have an opinion that I agree, but I don't really know really much about it because I didn't engage. So yeah, this will probably be the last time I do a reading rush. I can't say it's going to be a great well, I'm not going to lose, you know, anything from not doing it. I don't really participate very well in readathons anyway, and I mostly participate in ones that involve manga, and ones that are hosted by people that I follow more closely. So I've really enjoyed doing ones that Shaegeeksout has hosted and ones that Bizarre Individual has hosted. I loved the Manga Freakathon and the Manga Love readathons as well. So yeah, I will be very selective about which ones I participate in, and I think that if you would like to, you know, get involved in readathons, maybe you know, be a bit more selective about who it is. I'll try and put some links down below in the description box from lots of other people have been, as I've said, really eloquent about their stance, so I'll put some links for some people down below as well. So yeah, this is me rambled on quite a lot. This is much longer than I thought that this video was going to be. But yeah, anyway, my first and last reading rush. Anyway, yeah, so this is everything that I read. I enjoyed reading them. If you have read them as well and you'd like to let me know your opinions, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.